Hello, citizens of God. My name is Graham Elwood, and you're watching the Bitcoin Vigilante. How's everybody doing? I know we're doing late night. I'm in Asia right now, and so I've got some shows here in Thailand that I'm doing and working on some other projects. So it's a little after 9 in the morning here, but I realize it is 7 o'clock, a little after 7 in the West Coast, and 8 o'clock on the. I'm sorry. 10 o'clock. Numbers. Come on. We always be stuck with the numbers. Having a little green tea here, folks. Let me know if I'm using a new microphone, so let me know if you can see and hear me okay. Hello, Kevin. Where's government secrets? Well, I just texted Lee recently. We're gonna this summer he was traveling, I was traveling, and so we all haven't been able to do that many of them, but we will. We will start doing it again in the next week or so. I just texted Lee. Welcome everybody over on the Rock. Well, we got to get the Rock fin set up. Tell me what part of the world you're in, and like, share, and subscribe. And please go over to my new channel, Bitcoin Hollywood, and subscribe to that if you haven't already. And of course, we're streaming on my regular channel, and we're streaming on Bitcoin Hollywood, and we are streaming on Rockfin. We were having some tech issues. Rockfin was not syncing up with StreamYard, but we've got that. I think we've got that fixed. So that should be ready to go, citizens. Bitcoin Hollywood, and we are streaming on Rockfin. We were having some tech issues. Rockfin was not syncing up with StreamYard, but we've got that. This is playing now. I think we've got that fixed. So where's this playback coming from? Sorry, that should be ready to go, citizens. Bitcoin Hollywood, and we are streaming on Rockfin. We were having some tech issues. Rockfin was let me get this figured out. Sorry, guys. Was not syncing up with StreamYard, but we've got that. I think we've got that fixed. So where's this playback coming from? Sorry, that should. There. Sorry. Rockfin was giving me an echo playback thing. But we're live on the Rockfin. So, all right, good. We've got a new microphone. And everything, yeah, it's just like a, sorry. Say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're at. Okay. Like, share, and subscribe. So we're in an interesting time. Bitcoin is at 100 and Bitcoin is at a 116,000 roughly right now. People are asking. I'll do this. This. You guys got some questions you want to answer? Ask me. But someone was asking me about the tariffs and the economy and all that stuff. So we'll do this segment. Ba-boom. Shazam. All right, we'll be back with our first segment, guys. And of course, you can support the show with a super chat. You can support the show with Bitcoin right there. That's on chain. And you can, below here, see all the ways to support the show. And then if you ask a super chat question, I will absolutely answer it. I'll be right back with our next segment. Hello, citizens of God. My name is Graham Elwood. We're going to talk about ICE raiding a Hyundai factory and a bunch of South Korean employees going back to Korea, and Hyundai and the Korean government are saying maybe we won't have these factories in America anymore. Wow, is that good for the economy? I want to say no. And if you're new to the channel, I'm an independent voter. I'm an anti-war, pro-labor, democratic socialist, and I'm a Bitcoiner. So I didn't vote for either party. So it's easy for me to be critical of both of them because they're both not good. They're both not good. So this just happened. ICE raided a Hyundai factory in America, right? So Hyundai is a South Korean company. Hyundai also, I believe, owns Kia. I think those two companies merged several years ago. And they have factories here in the United States. And that employ a bunch of Americans and some South Koreans, obviously, because it's a South Korean company. So they, just like we do with American companies that have factories in China or whatever, there's Americans working there overseeing the factory, but the bulk of the employees are Chinese or whatever country they're in. So Hyundai does the same thing. Several of the, Korean and Japanese car companies have factories in America, and they employ a bunch of Americans and Japanese and Koreans. So this just happened. And so this is, there was a battery facility that was the subject of the raid, 4.3 billion, folks, among the largest projects in Georgia and expected to create 8,500 jobs once completed. 8,500 jobs for Americans. The South Koreans are here to help build, help train, and help get the battery factory up and running so 85 Americans can have jobs. But no, the Trump administration are just they're rounding up people because some Republican chick decided to call ICE. So this is what the response is from Hyundai and the South Korean government.
Is the Trump administration policy on immigration, this wholesale roundup of people without any consideration and due process. Let's talk about why this is totally screwing all Americans financially and into our economy. So here's the deal. That joint venture battery facility that was the subject of the raid, $4.3 billion, folks, among the largest projects in Georgia and expected to create 8,500 jobs once completed. 8,500 jobs. For whom? For Americans. This us versus them mentality is just so messed up, right? Because these South Koreans are here to help build, to help train, to help get this thing up and running so 8,500 Americans can have jobs. But no, the Trump administration, the dumbasses with their heads so far up their asses when it comes to immigration, they're just sitting there and just rounding up people because this white freaking Republican chick decided to call ICE, right? Well, here, you're going to get even more freaking outrage when you hear this. The search warrant that was revealed, that was the part of this immigration raid. Are you ready? That search warrant, it was looking for 4 Latinos. And listen, I'm not even saying that was kosher. Who the hell knows if that was legal, the grounds by which they were looking for these 4 Latinos. But I don't know. Last I checked, the Latinos are not the South Koreans, right? Alrighty. So now, this joint venture battery facility subject to the immigration raid scheduled for completion later this year to supply battery cells to Hyundai's nearby EV factory, electric vehicle factory. That work has been suspended following the raid. No work being done. Nothing being done. Construction not happening. 8,500 jobs, not happening. At least 22 other factory sites involving Korean business groups in automotive, shipbuilding, steel, and electrical equipment halted. Because of this, because of Trump.
So, I mean, she brings up a valid point. I mean, now that this is what, I mean, would you, if you were in America, let's say you were an American and you were working in Korea or whatever, and you were brought over to train people in that country, and then the police, I mean, this is, imagine if you were in Korea or Vietnam, there's factories in Vietnam, which is a communist country. And what if their government just snatched you up? There's all these factories in China, and what would you do if you got arrested and detained and then released? You'd be like, I'm not going there. I'm not going back to that country. And this is what's happening now. The South, these Hyundai is suspending all of these factory jobs. So Trump's sort of, I'm going to make Americans great again and bring back American jobs. No, you've just cost 8,500 jobs. And this is why I hate the two-party system, because then the Democrats, I mean, Joe Biden didn't create any new jobs either. This is why we have no leadership in this country. We have no leadership. We have none. There's no leadership. Obama was in office for 8 years. Where was his jobs program? Did he put millions of Americans back to work? No. The September 2008 crash happened, which helped him win the election. Bush, before he was as a lame duck president, put $700 billion stimulus that just was given to the banks, not the American people. Obama was sworn in January of 2009. He put another 800 roughly billion. So he had roughly 1.5 trillion dollars that were given by both Bush and Obama. And still 6 million foreclosures happened, which is one of the things that helped get Trump the win the first time. And let us not forget, in 2016, he did not win the popular vote. Hillary won the popular vote, another Democrat I didn't vote for. Because when you have no real resistance to the right-wing fascism of Trump, and you have the Democratic Party, which is useless, because if the Democratic Party was the Democratic Party of FDR, creating jobs, and Americans, it always comes down to the economy. So, has ICE probably rounded up some illegal immigrants that are bad criminals? I'm sure they have. And two things can exist at the same time. They've kicked the doors in and terrorized people and just arrested people for no good reason. And what the whole ICE raid did, there's two things we need to understand about ICE, because what do I tell you on the show? Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. ICE, the main reason for ICE is the private prison industry. So rounding people up in all of these detention camps, we're calling them camps. So we're just admitting we're a failed fascist, we're a failed state. We're not a democracy, we're a fascist state with camps. Like Pinochet had camps and murder squads, and we're just the third world dictatorship now. It benefits the private prison industry. So when you have for-profit prisons, you know what you need? Criminals, which is why we have a bunch of people in prison for smoking a plant, marijuana, crazy. So the ICE roundups are to benefit the private prisons, but it's also to normalize special police. And I'm a Bitcoiner. A lot of Bitcoiners are anti-government. They're really anti-government, but they're totally okay with cops with no names, just masks, kicking in doors, arresting people. Well, if ICE is doing that, and at a Hyundai, like South Koreans are not, they're our ally, right? They're not. What are they running criminal operations out of an EV battery factory? So if they can do that to Koreans, to Latinos, they could come kick your door in and take your cold wallet and take your BTC, take your Bitcoin. Oh yeah. So the Bitcoiners out there, I'm calling you out. I'm sorry. You're against the government. You're against the government controlling and trying to dictate what people should do. and you don't like government interference. You didn't want to take the vaccine because you didn't want the government to force you to have to take a vaccine. Okay, I can understand that. But you're okay with the government just arresting people at a factory and preventing 8,500 American jobs from happening? You're okay with the government just, in the Latino community in LA, I've a lot of Latino friends who were like, oh man, they're pulling people out of church, out of school. So you're not safe to go to church. Over the 4th of July, there were 6 Latino communities that canceled their 4th of July parades and fireworks and stuff like that in LA. This is not good. It's not good for your sovereignty. It's not good for your freedom. It's not good for the economy. And this is, Trump is awful. He's awful. But I blame the Democrats for this guy. They allowed this guy to happen. If Joe Biden just had if Joe Biden would have just come in and said, because Joe Biden was sworn in under the pandemic, right? We were still in a national emergency. So the president under a national emergency has broad powers. He could have just said, free healthcare, everybody gets Medicare for all. Just that alone would have won Harris the election, because all she would have to run on is, if you vote for Trump, he's going to take away your healthcare. And that's it. People would have. But they support bombing. They support the Democrats were against crypto. There's 50 million crypto owners in America. Trump, who has a meme coin, which is a scam, and just used Bitcoin to help get elected. And as a result, the Bitcoin price has gone up. That's the one good thing he's for. The Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, I think, is a good idea, but it was Cynthia Lummis's idea. It wasn't his. So I'm asking you, Bitcoiners, are you okay with secret police just arresting folks? Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth, guys. If you're a true Bitcoiner, if you're a true, I don't trust the government, then you can't trust the government. And you're going to trust Trump and ICE? All right, ICE is going to start, you're using Bitcoin for terrorist activities. They could just kick your door in and find your wallet and snatch you up. Put a gun to your head and grab your keys or whatever. What if that's coming? Then what? Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. Support our show. You can donate Bitcoin here. You can support our show financially. I'm coming from a point of view that most people don't have. There's not a lot of Bitcoin leftists. I'm an anti-war, pro-labor, democratic socialist. I'm against the two-party system. I'm against the war machine, which is why I'm in favor of Bitcoin, because it defunds the central banks. It defunds the private prison industry. It defunds the big corporations. It defunds the pharmaceutical, the war machine, all of them. Huh? What? Huh? It's not red versus blue. It's the state versus you. Buy Bitcoin, stack sats. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.